What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Hunter podcast. This is episode 15. We're getting pretty far here, 15 weeks into it. Pretty stoked, just as excited as ever about this podcast. Today's episode is a really cool one. I got an awesome guest, Damon Wolfe. He's a creative in the hunting outdoor industry, and this kid is just awesome. He has some great work, some really good talent. He's worked hard for a lot of years to get to where he's at, and I think a lot of you guys are really going to enjoy hearing his story and listening to his perspective on some of the things in the industry. Damon and I have a pretty similar perspective on a lot of parts of the industry and kind of our goals in life and in general, and so we really hit it off good. This is the first time that I talked to Damon, but I think we're going to be good buddies for a while. So hope you guys enjoy this podcast. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below in the comment section, and enjoy this podcast. Okay, I'm here with Damon Wolfe. Damon, thanks for being here today.
How's it going?
Good, man. It's good. Yeah, having a good day so far. But let's get started. I want to introduce you to everyone, and I want you to introduce yourself, where you're from, like what you do, all that stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, in simple terms, I'm 19. I like the outdoors. I like to hunt. But most importantly, I like to click camera buttons. And somehow clicking camera buttons led to it being a job. And it just ended up here. There was no rhyme or reason, just like being out there, capturing memories and telling stories. And now I do it every day. You know, it's a blast, man. I enjoy it. I live in Minnesota, so I grew up in Wisconsin from when I was born till like 13, and then moved to Minnesota with my mom, Wabasha, Minnesota. We lived there for 2 years, and then we transferred to Elk River. So I went to Elk River High School in Minnesota and graduated last year. I'm 19, so
Nice, dude.
the whole
You're
school thing
young,
wasn't.
man.
Yeah, man. The whole school thing wasn't really for me. I didn't really do it, to be honest. I didn't really do good in school because the famous words like I didn't apply myself or whatever. And I didn't apply myself because I hate when people say you didn't apply yourself, because I was applying myself, but not to school specifically. I was applying
Yeah,
myself to the passions and the work I wanted to do, not something I didn't see reasonable. Like if something doesn't make sense to me and it doesn't add up, like I'm not, like, I don't really want to pursue that,
yeah.
I guess. So yeah, graduate high school, luckily. D's get degrees type of deal. That's
Heck
kind of
yeah.
how I slid through. And now we're doing outdoor media stuff. So
That's cool, dude. How old were you when you first picked up a camera?
it was right at COVID. So 2020,
Okay.
2019 into 2020,
Yeah.
picked up a camera. I kind of like when I started hunting. So I didn't really start hunting hard, like quote unquote hard, until like 2020. So when I started to hunt more and do more things, I wanted to capture it because I would watch YouTubers online and stuff, and gain inspiration from them and just like want to do what they do. So I started just filming on my phone, taking pictures, editing on there. And that can go into a whole different conversation too, like what it takes to start, because it really doesn't take much. Um,
Yeah.
you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, started with the phone, bought a Sony A6400 in 2020. And then me and my buddies pursued a couple of years of YouTube stuff. So we'd go in turkey hunt, go and fish, go and camp, do whatever, just good times and memories. And I'd record it and take photos and just embrace it and live in it. And I fell in love with. I was always the kid in the friend group that had the camera with them at all times. Tell them to like redo stuff or like capturing a
Yeah.
hunt, or we're watching the YouTube video like after I edit it and we're laughing because we remember that moment in time, which is so beautiful, being able to capture something like in real time and not faking it and just looking back at the memories, bro. So yeah, I guess that's what I enjoyed the most, and picked that camera up. And now I've been doing it for 2020, so 4 years now. I
Nice.
haven't been doing it full time for 4 years,
Yeah.
but I've had a camera in my hands for 4 years, and
Yeah.
it's definitely flown by. If you told me when I picked that camera up that I'd be doing this, 4 years later, I wouldn't really believe it, but here we are. So
I love it, dude. That's
Yeah,
like same time frame for me. Like COVID hit, and I just like I bought a
yeah,
camera and went and started shooting stuff. So that's so
yeah,
cool.
dude. I think COVID destroyed and helped a lot of people.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, you can get political with it and you can do, you can dive deeper. But to me, COVID, when I think of COVID selfishly, without thinking of all the disaster and stuff it did, when I think of COVID, I think of spring turkeys because it happened right in the spring. They told me I had 2 weeks off of school, no homework. And it was like early April, and I was like, oh, game on. So
Yeah,
I
dude.
turkey hunted like every day, all day for that 2 week period and just embraced it, lived in it, shot it, with camera and bow and gun and everything. So yeah, when COVID hit, I was pretty thrilled. That sounds evil, but you know, I even got
Yeah.
COVID, so it was pretty bad. So, but besides that, yeah, COVID kind of allowed me to focus on something besides school.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, dude. There's blessings in those hard times sometimes, and so you guys gotta look for those gains. Um, so you have a what is it, what do you call it? Like a creative agency or just a
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, like to simple it down. I'm a freelancer,
yeah,
but I think the word like I wouldn't really consider myself a freelancer because I do a lot of stuff here at home that isn't completely media based, but some like the majority of it is media based. I would just call it like a media agency or what
yeah,
that's kind of the way I put it.
yeah.
Anything digital, whether it's photo, video, ad based, and I mean anything that is has a photo or video on it, we do. So that's kind of how I would simplify it.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about how that started. Your so All for One is your media agency.
Yep.
How'd that
Yeah.
start? Where'd that come from?
So it was interesting. Can you hear those sirens in the back?
Man, a little bit, but
A
I
little
think
bit.
it's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Yeah,
Our
you're
our
good.
office is downtown in the city here, so like sometimes there's
Oh,
background noise. But
yeah, you're
so
good.
how it started, junior year of high school, uh, I I was doing high school and randomly I would pick up jobs here and there, just freelance jobs, filming a hunt or getting content for a brand or doing whatnot. And it was really like random and kind of when it did happen, I had to hop on it because I didn't have much work. Kind of live job to job, do a job, make a little bit of money, and just kind of survive doing that and building my network of people. So I did that, and then like mid junior year, I have a buddy that when I moved to Elk River here, I met and we've been hunting together like ever and taking photos and videos, and he's a dear friend, and we've shared some pretty special moments together. And we wanted to start like an outdoor brand type of deal where it's like a portfolio builder for me. We can capture our hunts and post them, and we were going more down the route of doing like having a brand, more than a media agency. And then whatever I do for media production is on the side. And so when we did that, we were looking at like selling hoodies and t-shirts and stickers and stuff. So we were looking at making, a little bit of money. So I went ahead and, created the business and legalized the name and did all the back end work that it takes to start a business. So I just started researching that and got super into like what it takes to own a business and what it, takes to run one and the back end stuff like the financials and the tax stuff, all the boring stuff nobody wants to talk about here. But we did that and then we were running with it and then it ended up being where like as I kept doing it, I started getting more jobs and more jobs and more jobs. And the media production started outweighing like what we were doing as like as far as like a hunt or like a brand piece or whatever. So me and him had a discussion and we're just like, can I take this over and turn it into an agency? Because I hadn't turned, I didn't want to start a separate business for media production, then have another one that's an outdoor brand, just because the numbers didn't really line up as far as what was worth it and what wasn't. So started with that and just would do one shoot after the next and would call people, text people, DM people. Like I put myself out there in situations. And when I was in those situations, just try and perform the best you can. So yeah, I guess that. And then, once I was in my senior year of high school, work started picking up a little bit more. So that's senior year is when I took it over. And yeah, barely went to school, did a ton of work, went on a bunch of hunts and, started building a portfolio. And then when I graduated, before I was going to graduate, I was trying to think about what I wanted to do, full time and kind of position myself in an area where I can hopefully succeed one day. And, looking at my age and looking at, what it takes for a 19-year-old kid to live and kind of the risk versus reward piece, that comes along with starting a business. I figured that there's no better time to start than now because I'm 19. I don't really have anything to lose by trying it. And if it works, like awesome, I built a career for myself. If not, I'm 19, I have time to bounce back. So that's kind of where it all developed. And we've been doing it now for a year. So actually, like a month ago, it's been a full year doing media stuff full time under a business.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Do you have, how many guys do you have working there, or how does that kind of work?
It is me. So
Okay.
I am the only. Um, I'm not even an employee of my business. I'm an owner. I have no employees. I've contracted people out, and I contract
Yeah.
people out to do work for me if I need help. And I have buddies that help out being talent and production stuff. Buddies that are subjects as the hunter or as the archer or whatnot, depending on what we do. So I have buddies that help me out for, the price of lunch or gas or whatever. So I
Yeah.
have a great group of friends here in town that help me with that. Oh boy, those sirens are getting really loud.
That's all
So
good.
yeah, man, I have a group of buddies and they just help me out. I help them out. And yeah, it's just me for right now. The goal would be, to start training someone and, have an employee at some point. But since it's first year, I didn't want to dive in too deep. I wanted to get, connections made and build a portfolio for myself before I start distributing that to someone else.
That's awesome.
So,
Are most of your clients kind of that like back east like style of hunting, or
um,
how?
a lot. So like the companies that produce like a product or create a product, uh, it's not just specifically for like the Midwest, whitetail stuff. There's ways to go around it, like doing waterfowl stuff for, different scenery for that product that company creates. But for the most part, yeah, it's all like we're super heavy on like everyday archery stuff. So like building arrows, building bows, shooting bows, sighting in a bow, evening stuff like scouting for deer. A lot of that is like our consistent stuff that we do. And then these trips that I go on kind of varies. And this year is, different than last fall since I was only in it, part time. I didn't have as much travel under my belt, but like this fall, it definitely is a lot more. So like a lot of whitetail stuff, but we're doing elk this year, mule deer. We
Nice.
just did black bear, and then yeah, there's a couple other fun hunts we're going on too that you'll see soon.
That's good, dude. I'm excited for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, man. There's a lot of cool stuff on the calendar. It's a busy calendar, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's good. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, nope, nothing.
Nice, dude.
But yeah, like
So,
mainly archery. Like I've done a couple
okay.
rifle stuff,
Yeah.
but mainly like pretty much all archery
Yeah.
and bow hunting style stuff because that's what I enjoy the most. I've never really been a gun hunter. I've shot 2 deer with a gun, and then I picked up a bow and was like, "This is it for me." So as soon as I picked up a bow, that's what I started focusing on, and that's kind of the clients that I've drawn.
Nice.
Just this last year.
I know you guys work with Dialed with Taylor Coleman over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yep. They're great guys there.
Good
They're like
guys.
30 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Dang.
They're pretty close, so I can go up there. I've gone up there a couple times to their facility.
Yeah, that's cool. I like those guys a lot.
Yeah,
I ran one of their sites last year. I think I'm running one this year again too. So,
yeah. The Arc House, it's a
but
sweet site for
yeah,
sure.
dude, it's good. So a lot of the listeners here are just like they want to get into creative stuff, and they want to get into the industry, just like
Yeah.
doing what both of us are doing. Um, I think the biggest place people get hung up and where they have the hardest time is finding clients and networking.
Yeah.
So I want to get your perspective because it's a little different back like where you guys are at in the Midwest versus where I'm at over here in like Utah and Idaho. There's more shows and more events to go to as far as like Western hunting goes out here. So I'm curious
Yep.
how what it is like for you guys out there.
Like if you were somebody that lives in the Midwest and you want to get into the industry,
Yeah,
the biggest thing is like honing in on your craft to the point where you're valuable to a company, right? So what happens that I've seen uh, in the past and now is like a lot of people get a camera, anybody can go and spend $10,000 on camera equipment, and there's less people that can run that camera equipment, right? So I think what happens is people get the equipment and then expect the clients to start to roll in, but the client isn't look I mean the client does somewhat look at the equipment you have once you're on location, but to get to that point they have to see a portfolio of work that's valuable to their company, right? Something that fits their brand style, their needs, their everything, right? So I think starting with honing in on your own work, like the first 2.5 3 years of media production that I did was simply just me and my buddies doing stuff. Like you have to go out and spend your own money on hunts, and you have to go to the range at night and shoot your bow and shoot your camera, like build the portfolio. So like the best thing someone could do is just start on their portfolio first before they start reaching out to clients, because you have to have a good portfolio to showcase. And then once you do get your first client, perform, like overperform. And I think that's a huge thing, is like people get a client and they do the bare minimum, which is what they're asking for. But if you go above and beyond and show them, excuse me, that you're like willing to do more for their brand, even if it's outside of contract, as far as like deliverables that you have to give to them, that right there is what's going to draw them back, or hopefully draw them back. You never know, but just really going out and shooting. And I know it's hard because every night you might have to go out and shoot, and it can kind of get overwhelming, and but you just got to go do it. And
I
I think
love
the
that.
biggest thing for me, dude, was I never started this hoping to make money or work in the outdoor industry. I never My intention wasn't to be an outdoor creative or shoot photos and videos for this brand, or like my goal was never money oriented. It was never brand orientated. When I started, I had brands and, video stuff and photo stuff that I would look at on social media and aspire to, be like that one day, or maybe try a technique that I saw, but I never had the pure intent. It's kind of like with YouTube, right? Like if you start YouTube with the sole intention to capture your memories and have fun and just have something to look back on, your odds of success, I feel like, go up by doing that than if you're like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel to make money. Because every video you post trying to make money, you're going to just be let down, because it's not, overnight success at all. You got to do it continuously. And to be able to do that so easily, to reach a certain level, you have to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I love a camera. Like there's so many times during the week I go out and shoot photos of stuff and memories that aren't paid projects or anything. I just enjoy holding a camera and capturing that stuff, and you can really, like, if you're a brand or client, you can really see that too when you're hiring someone. So
that's awesome.
the eagerness.
Um, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I kind of want to now. There's this book that I'm reading. It's called The Gap in the Gain, and this is for like a lot of listeners out there, but for you too. Um, I don't read a lot of books, but this one was recommended to me, and so I read it because a good guy I look up to a lot recommended that I should read it, and it talks about like when you measure your success based on what you've accomplished, like your chances of success like go so much higher than if you're trying to measure your success based on a goal or an objective. So when
Yep.
you look back and you can think like, oh man, like be really grateful for like, wow, I've actually come a long ways. Like in the last 4 years, when I first picked
Yeah.
up a camera to now, like that's crazy. But if you're trying to
Yeah.
look at like man, I want to be like, I want to go film like Jimmy Chin documentary stuff, like that. Like if you're trying to aspire to something too much, you're not like it's gonna feel like you're never gonna make it. But you got to look back
Exactly.
and so that reminded me of
Exactly.
that. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, man. Exactly. And like that's the whole point is you can't you gotta just go and like
Yeah,
people message me all the time like, can I shoot whitetail content with this lens, or can I is this zoom enough to capture an elk, or and the simple answer is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like up until a year and a half ago, I had one camera, one lens, and like two batteries and a shotgun mic. And yeah, it's harder to produce, stuff with that. Now it would be harder to produce, but at the time I made it work because that's all I could afford or all I could do. So like just not having excuses, right? Like, oh, I wish I could film that video if I had this camera, or I wish I could film that video because I don't have this money, or whatever it is, whatever excuse. I've heard a lot of them that stops people from going out and creating. And the thing is, you don't even need a camera. Um, get creative with your phone. Look up, like after this podcast, I'm sure you've already done this, but look up like short film shot on iPhone,
oh yeah,
and it will humble anyone with a lot of camera equipment, because the guys that are going out and shooting those documentaries or those teasers or those commercials with those iPhones, like the video is unreal because the person had the eye, they had the skill, and they had the talent to be able to pull it off with a phone. Not everybody can do that. And that eye, that talent, and the look they do, that's what a brand wants. The brand, doesn't care as much about what you're shooting on. So
yeah. I agree, dude. That's awesome. Spitting some words of wisdom right there.
yeah, I guess I get a lot of questions about that
Yeah.
stuff. So I like to mention this as much as I can. I don't know. I'm sure you've been there where you're on your computer and your editing software and you're just stumped on how to do something. And that's when you go straight to YouTube and look it up. And
Yeah.
you just go through YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial and you figure it out because you want to figure it out because you want your video to be as best as it can be, and you don't expect someone else to do it for you. And I think that's the key factor that separates certain people.
Yeah. I'm sure you're exactly the same as me. Like, YouTube taught me how to use a camera and like how
Yeah.
to edit and everything. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean,
Peter McKinnon, bro.
oh yeah, dude, from when you buy the camera till a professional, like I still look up stuff on YouTube. Clearly it's like a little, like it's less now that I've done it, repetition, but there's still times where I look stuff up, where I'll be on social and I'll see a certain angle or shot that I was like, that's really cool. I want to do that. And I'll look up how to do it. And most of the time I can do it with the equipment I already have. And that angle or that shot that I now know elevates my production. So when you're elevating your production, like that simple step of going to YouTube to try and elevate your production might lead to your next client. And like the biggest thing is like, don't quit, because the next day you could have the best offer of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, dude. I love it. Um, I'm curious. I and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but it was kind of one of my questions I wrote down. Like, what motivates you to do this job, or just to like keep working and doing
The
this?
people,
What's yeah,
100% the people. 100%. I mean, the places are amazing. The
yeah,
hunts are cool, but the people, man, like I've been on trips where the people just weren't it. And I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't do
yeah,
that. I've been to locations and shot stuff with people and for people that I couldn't do full time. It was not enjoyable for me. And then the next week you go on a trip with someone you enjoy, someone you vibe with, someone you work well together, and you experience these like unreal experiences, and you can do it every day for the rest of your life. Isn't it
yeah,
crazy how the same subject, the same job, the same motive, but two different people, two different vibes. One you would way rather do, one you don't want to do at all. Biggest thing is the people, man. Great, like brands, like if you're working with a brand and you don't support the product, or you don't support the people, or you don't vibe well with the people, you're going to be doing this. And if you're doing this, you can't grow. So you have to be able to meet well and mesh well with the companies you're working with in order to do more work. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like the brands I work with, like I had this discussion with someone the other day. So somebody asked me, do you have any friends? And because I work quite a bit and don't really hang out with friends here at home as much.
Yeah.
But someone asked me, do you have friends? I'm like, well, my clients are my friends. And they're like, well, you just like them because they pay you or whatever. And I'm like, that's so far from the truth. The amount of in-depth conversations and memorable experiences I've had with these brands and these clients is unreal, dude, because you're not only working with them every day, you're sitting on the side of a mountain with no service with them. So now you start talking to them and you learn more about their life and you ask them questions about their kids and their past, and you start, learning more about the people you're working with, and you gain a deeper respect for that person now. And that leads into a stronger work relationship and personal relationship. And like, I don't care what you say, like if a client or a brand decided to leave me, I would still talk to them and just check up on them because I care about them, because we've had
Yeah.
those moments together. You know what I mean? So at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, yeah, it's about, promoting a product or showcasing something, like as far as like the numbers go, but as far as the relationships go, the product doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, the product brought the relationship together, but the end goal, at least for me as a Christian, isn't, okay, I can promote a product and that's how I can make a living. Awesome. And I love doing that and I enjoy doing that. But at the end of the day, we're all going to die. We're all going somewhere. And I don't want to live a life where I knew I didn't value the people over the product or the money. So,
Yeah. That's so good,
yeah.
dude. That's so good. That's that's life success teaching right there. Like people are what matter most. Relationships matter more than
Yeah, man,
anything.
because I could take away your job right now. I could take away your house, your money, your camera gear, your whatever you think is super cool and new right now. Something that you make an Amazon order. You're like, oh, I got a new lens. Cool. You get the lens, and a week from now, you don't care. You want to know why? Because it doesn't matter.
Yep.
But guess what? In 2, 3, 4, maybe 50 years, whether you're sitting in a nursing home or on the side of the mountain, you're going to be, you're going to remember that moment you had with that person. You're going to remember that relationship you had with them, whether it's a work relationship or a personal relationship, as far as a spouse or girlfriend or whatever. Those are the people that matter. And you have to put them first, because money's temporary. You make it, you spend it, whatever. When you're sitting on your deathbed or in a nursing home, it's like, what do you have? Nothing. Nothing if you
Yeah.
don't got the people.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it, man. I like to keep things simple.
It's good, dude. I love it. I agree. Well, good, man. That's a great conversation right there. Like that's so good. We'll kind of switch gears a little bit and let's
Yeah,
talk about some camera gear, some camera stuff. What do you guys shooting on?
I knew that was coming.
I want to know. It's
I
fun.
keep it. I keep it simple, man. I shoot all Sony. I started Sony, shooting on Sony when I first started. I bought that 6400. So when I bought Sony, I just kind of stuck with it. At some point, I would like to, get a Red or get a Canon or something and just mess around with it. I've always wanted like a Leica Q2, just to
Yeah.
shoot, family stuff and more personal stuff, than brand stuff. But,
Yeah.
at some point I want to get a Leica or a Fuji and mess around. But Sony right now, everything I have is Sony. So I've kind of gone through a different array of cameras. So I started with the 6400, and then I got an FS5. I don't know if you've heard of the FS5. It's their cinema camera years
Yeah.
back. So I shot
Gotcha.
on the FS5, and that thing was amazing. The built-in ND was sweet, and that was like my first like quote unquote big boy camera, was the FS5. To be
Yeah.
able to have like a cinema body style camera, shoot more cinematic stuff. When I got the FS5 is like when I first started shooting S-Log 3, and I was like blown away with like what you could do with a flat color profile. So I started with that, upgraded my lenses and stuff. And then I actually sold the FS5 and my A6400. And this was my junior year of high school when I first started, kind of doing more client stuff. I sold both those cameras and bought the FX3. So
Nice.
the FX3 is like a cinema camera for anyone. It's called a cinema camera. It's not a cinema body camera.
Yeah,
So
right.
that kind of confuses people a lot. It's technically a mirrorless body camera, but it's labeled a cinema camera. So some of your like geeks, as far as like camera equipment goes, will be like, the FX3 isn't a cinema camera. And that's a whole nother point. But yeah, shoot on the FX3. I started with a 24 to 240 on that thing. For hunting stuff, it was great. Could be
Nice.
wide, get interview shot, tight, telephoto style shots. Great beginner lens. Like if you're listening to this, I would say like some sort of Sony body that's like good for both photo and video, and a 24 to 240 is like a great beginner, like do it all style stuff. So, and then like a shotgun mic, don't forget audio. I did that for the longest time. Didn't care about it until I realized it mattered. So yeah. And then I bought the Sony A7 III last year for stills, and then I ran the FX3 for video, and then the A7 III for photos. And then just recently, like a month ago, I bought the A7 IV. So
Nice.
now I shoot all my video production stuff on the FX3 because it's really great in low light. 4K 120 is beautiful. 422 10-bit. Could you hear that?
Yeah, it's okay though.
Sorry about that, man.
You're
So
good.
422 10-bit, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's just like a super high res, file that's super manipulable. So like when you're out shooting, for me at least, I like to have something that has a lot of data, something I can color, a certain way at some point, or something I can crop in on. So I like to shoot like the highest quality that the camera can perform at, which, note to anyone that wants to do that, be ready to spend a lot of money on SD cards, because you need a certain SD card.
Yeah.
B90s or tough cards are not cheap. So, that's another thing. But yeah, man, I can actually hear. I'll grab it.
Let's see it.
So this is not what it looks like. This is a lot for anyone that.
Yeah.
So this isn't what the camera looks like when you buy it, but this is what happens when you have a camera gear addiction. So yeah, like a
Me too.
Sony FX3, and then Atomos 7-inch monitor on top. V-mount batteries. I started running V-mounts for longer day shoots and stuff. And then I have a Sennheiser shotgun on there, and then the Sennheiser lab mic on the side. Yeah. And that's what's great about the Sony FX3 is the top handle. You can have 4 channels of audio. So like if you're on a trip, it's great. So I'm running the in-body audio, the shotgun audio, and then the lav audio. So for anyone that's listening, if like my lav mic starts to fail or runs out of battery on a hunt, in post I can cut back to the shotgun mic, which is like a great saver, like a great backup. And then if the shotgun and the lav go out, then I have in-body stuff too. So
right. So at least you got something.
I never want to, use the in-body audio, but if like all things failed, it's still usable.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So that's kind of what I'm running now. The goal is to get an FX6 soon.
Nice.
But I'm waiting for the Mark II. Because I want a couple things that the current FX6 doesn't have. But yeah.
Okay. Are they planning on coming out with a Mark II soon?
I have no clue. From what I've seen online, it looks like this year, hopefully.
Oh.
Because the FX6 is already 3 years old, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So they should be coming out with a Mark II soon. The only reasons that I'm hesitant about the FX6, there's no real-time slow-mo. So what's nice about the FX3, as far as hunting goes, at any moment, it can go down and you want to be able to slow that shot down. Where like on the FX3, it shoots real-time slow-mo. So it shoots it at 120 and it has audio with it. So I can like film, stocking up, get the audio bites. And then as he shoots, slow that part down in post. And then with the FX6, you can't, it's only S and Q. So it slows down the entire thing and has no audio. So for a hunt, an
Yeah.
FX6 to me is like pointless because who wants to see a real time kill shot? You want to see it in slow mo,
Yeah.
and that's what most people want. Um, and then the audio on the FX6 is not the audio top handle. There's no built-in XLR on the body,
Oh,
so you can't have like a different top handle or anything and then still run audio. You have to like get adapters and stuff. So that's kind of
gotcha.
the main thing.
Gotcha. Makes
So
sense.
yeah, yeah, man. What do you shoot on?
I'm shooting on mostly the R5, Canon R5.
Okay. Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, fire
yeah.
camera.
That camera's a beast, dude.
It's good. But dude, one thing that you were just saying is like there's no audio in slow mo, which is like the worst. It sucks.
Yeah, it's frustrating. That's what I like about this is there is 4K,
Yeah,
422, 10-bit, 120 with audio, which is unreal.
that is
Um,
insane.
so like, can you shoot 60p though with audio?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, at least you
Yeah,
have that.
it's true. Yeah, you can at least do a little bit with that,
See,
but
but yeah, with the FX6, there's like no audio for any slow mo stuff. So it's like
dang.
for studio stuff and for other projects that you don't need the audio for like those B-roll clips, it's great. But for like a hunting documentary style film, like you need to have audio on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So yeah, man.
sweet dude. We could talk about gear all day for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I guess for lenses, I never mentioned
Oh
lenses. So
yeah, let's
I'm
talk lenses.
yeah. So like for hunts, if I'm going on a hunt, Tamron 35 to 150, 2 to 2.8, 99% of the time is what I'm running.
Nice.
So if I'm running and gunning around here, a 24 to 70 is great, but like a 35 to 150 is like ideal because you can get like 35 is wide enough for interview and run and gun stuff. And then 150, you can get pretty tight. And then like from going from the 240 to the 150, I was scared that I was going to like lose focal range as far as like getting tight on a deer. But with it being a 2.8, it's a lot sharper so you can crop more. So
Oh,
if I'm slightly, wider and I want to be tighter, I can crop a lot better. And just as far as like matching footage, kill shot footage along with like other B-roll stuff, like I like a pretty sharp lens when it comes to that style of production. So 2 to 2.8 looks crisp. So to have that focal range in that f-stop is great. And then like I'll run a 50 mil for B-roll stuff, like macro shots, slow mo macro shots, detail shots, whether it's grabbing an antler on a deer or, water dripping off a fish or fire crackling or anything that I want to show in a different perspective. I'll grab a 50 and I have a Rokinon 50. It's a manual lens. So I run the manual, grip on the side to focus it.
nice.
And then I have a 16 to 28, which is great for second angle tree stuff or, wide interview shots or just wide lifestyle B-roll stuff. So and
Yeah,
that's a 2.8 too. So
nice. There you
yeah,
go, dude.
man,
Yeah, so you got like good range all the way from super wide, 150
16 to
tight.
135. Yeah. I,
Yeah,
I want to get a 600. The only thing
yeah.
I'm struggling with for that is like one of the only reasons I want a 600 is for like summer velvet stuff.
Okay.
And uh, I just can't contemplate spending that much money for like 4 photos. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it would
yeah,
be great for like maybe elk stuff, but like bow hunting elk, you're pretty close to them. You know what I mean? So it's not like if I was filming more rifle stuff, I would definitely pick that lens up. But with a bow, you're so close; it doesn't really matter as much.
yeah. It's hard to even like it's hard to see where you'd use that lens on a hunt very much
Yeah, and it's
because it's
heavy,
insane.
dude,
Oh yeah,
especially for backpacking hunts and stuff. Like to carry, like for me, if I'm going to carry a lens or any piece of equipment into like the backcountry, like it needs to be used. Like it's
yeah,
got to be used a lot. And to carry a lens of that size and that weight to maybe use 4 times, I just, I don't see a point. So
yeah.
that's
It's
kind
not
of
worth
where
it.
my head's at with that.
Yeah, a lot of guys. So I when I am doing like rifle hunts and stuff, I just film through the spotting scope with my phone because it works
Okay.
like
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
pretty
great, do you
pretty
use
dang
like an
good.
Allen or a Mag View or?
Mag view.
Magview?
Yeah,
Yeah, Magviews are
yeah,
sweet. I have a
yeah,
couple
dude.
of those as well.
Yeah, they're nice. It's not as good as a footage as if you did have like a 600 or a 800 or something, but it beats carrying around one of those big lenses.
Yeah,
So
I've seen some like iPhone 15 footage of using, like an all-in or a Magview, and I mean it's still pretty sharp as far as like
it's
getting,
pretty good.
tighter shots. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, I mean the thing with gear is like you can get all this stuff and you can overcomplicate it. Like when I'm on a hunt or shooting something, I like to just keep it super, super simple. So my focus is more on what I'm creating than what my gear is doing. And don't get me wrong, gear is important. It's good to have good quality stuff when it comes to doing production. But once, like, I've been on hunts and trips where I just brought too much stuff and you just get overwhelmed, and just know what you need, bring it, shoot, and enjoy the experience and be in the experience. Because if you're trying to fiddle with stuff, you're not in the moment, and if you're not in the moment, you're not capturing the moment. So being able to focus on the moment and being able to capture that is like the most important thing, at least for me.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
most of
man.
the time I have like two lenses with me if I'm on a backpack hunt. Like,
What lenses do you use?
so I have a 24 to 105 f4, which is kind of
Sweet.
the main one I've been using recently. And then I have like a 50, an 85. I have a 14, a few prime lenses, but
Sweet.
usually I only take like I'll take the 24 to 105, and I'll probably take like the 50 because it's a 1.2, so
Yep.
like super good in low light or like getting close to dark. And then what else do I have? Yeah, that's about it. I've got a couple of wildlife lenses, so I have a 1 to 400 and then a 400 2.8, which are like
Sweet.
rad lenses for wildlife, but I would never really take them on a hunt. Sometimes I
Yeah,
do,
like
but
like for me, like if I had a lens like that, like I would put the lens on the camera and like go and shoot specifically for that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like if you're driving around dirt roads trying to get a tight shot of a velvet whitetail, like I'd have my camera and that long lens and I would just rip. I wouldn't, carry a bunch
Yep.
more. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what is the R5 shoot for megapixels as far as photos?
It's like 48 or something, or maybe it's in the 50s. It's around there, around 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. The A7 IV shoots like 32.
Yeah.
And I've had that conversation too with people before. Newer photographers are like, "Well, how many megapixels do I need?" And it's like, "Are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
For social
It's true.
stuff, like you don't need a ton.
No,
It's
you
nice to
don't.
be able to crop, and if you can afford it, for sure, get it because it's worth it.
Yeah.
But as like a beginner, having 50, 60, 70, 100 megapixels is like what having that before you know how to edit to me is not as ideal. But
Yeah. No, I don't think it matters that much when you're trying to choose a camera if it's your first camera, because I was shooting on like the 70, which is like 12 megapixels when
yeah,
like when I
yeah,
first
I
started.
shot photos. So when I sold my A6400 and FS5 and I got the FX3, I was too broke to buy a stills camera. So I ran the FX3 for stills. It shoots 12 megapixel photos.
Yeah.
And I would challenge someone to go on my Instagram and find me a 12 megapixel photo versus a 32 megapixel photo and show me the difference
Yeah. You can't
on
tell.
Instagram.
Right.
On a
Yeah,
big monitor, you can definitely tell, but
for sure.
On Instagram, I challenge it because it's very unnoticeable. At
Yeah,
least if you're a viewer. If you're a photographer, it's probably more noticeable. But
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice, dude. Um, Last thing, editing software. What are you editing on?
Yeah, so I'm stuck in a trap.
Okay.
Of It's called the Adobe Creative Cloud Trap.
Yeah.
So I started when I first started. So freshman year of high school, when I went to high school, I saw that they had a photography class. And right when I went to high school, freshman year for me was around 2020. So I got my camera and I wanted to do the photography class to learn how to take photos and video. And the teacher was really nice. So I took photography, and like first day of class, it was like my 6 hour class, I think. So my last class of the day, I was like waiting all day, first day to get to the class. And He's like, all right, guys, every student gets a free Adobe Creative. And I was like, just like itching, man. Right after class, I went home, grabbed my camera, and like went and shot pictures of like my bow in the backyard and like my dog running around and stuff. So I was so pumped. So I started shooting or editing on Adobe. And since I knew I got the software for free if I was in that class, every semester, every year I took a class because there was photo
Nice.
1, 2, and 3, and then there was video 1, 2, and 3. So I took like photo 1, photo 2, photo 3, video, like graphic design. Like I did all of those classes. And that's another thing is if you're a kid and you're in high school and your school offers a photography class, like 100% do it, because that's a
Yeah.
free resource that you have to ask questions. And granted, like for me, it got to a point where I just stopped asking questions and YouTubed it. But guess what? Now you have a free hour of school that you can focus on your business or focus on doing whatever. So like that was the big thing for me. Like I brought my laptop in, and I just started doing website stuff and replying to emails and like reaching out to people in school, in class.
Nice.
Like that was a huge thing for me. So Adobe Creative Cloud, started on Lightroom, and I'm still on Lightroom. Started on Premiere. I'm still on Premiere. And yeah, it's like $60, $70 a month for it, but I'm on it every day. I'm at the office, so it's worth it for me.
Yeah.
I bought DaVinci a little bit ago to try and learn it, with my free time and whatnot, to maybe try and transfer to it. And I can't, man. Like the amount of time it's going to take me to relearn that software, it's just going to be hard to, find that time to do that. So, but I'm Adobe all day for sure.
It's
What are
good.
you, man?
DaVinci. I'm on DaVinci.
Oh, you sucker.
Yeah, dude. I've done them all
So you're
though.
my, you're my teacher then.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Any questions? I got you. I've started on Final Cut, went to Premiere with because of school, and then now I'm on DaVinci. So I've done them all, and yeah, I like DaVinci the most out of all of them.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
I liked. I mean, DaVinci seems a lot more simple, right? Like Premiere's got
yeah,
a lot of stuff on it, and it
yeah,
can be very overwhelming. But yeah, man, I've brought projects into DaVinci to try and color grade it,
yeah,
because DaVinci's known for like their color grading stuff,
yep,
and like I could tell it was easier and kind of more coloring options when it came to writing DaVinci, but it was like such an unnoticeable difference in like the final product for me that it just didn't
yeah,
it didn't make a ton of sense.
yeah. No, I think
So
if you know a software good and you've been with it for a while, it's like you could stick with it, and you're not really losing much from switching over, unless there's
no,
something that's
yeah,
like really will make a difference.
yeah, and for me, like having Adobe, knowing Adobe, and being able to edit very proficiently and quick, and but still maintain quality, of course. Like that to me is more worth it than maybe the $50 I would save a month. If I can go into a software, rip things, revise things, and colors things, and cut and music and audio, sound effects and graphics and After Effects and whatnot, whatever you want to do, to be able to do that in a software quick is like the most important thing for me, at least. And right now, if I opened DaVinci and you told me to make a reel, I would be on YouTube trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's good, dude. Good. Well, dude, this has been awesome. I think we'll kind of wrap
Yeah,
it up. Maybe we'll probably do this again sometime because I think there's so much more we could talk about.
yeah,
We
man.
kind of
Maybe we schedule the next one for like January or February.
Yeah,
Talk to
let's do
me.
it.
Talk to me after hunting season and ask me how much I love my job.
Yeah,
The answer will still probably be yes.
yeah, dude,
It
let's
will
do
for
it.
sure be yes, dude. I love this stuff.
Yeah,
Like
me
I'm
too.
addicted to holding a camera. I'm addicted to hunting, and I admit it. My girlfriend admits it. My mom admits it. Like everybody in my life admits my extreme addiction to whether you want to call it hunting or work. It's kind of the same thing now, which is great, and I'm blessed to be able to do that. And honestly, like I like without God and without my relationship with him and the people in my life, I wouldn't be doing this. So I just want to say thank you to all the people that have at least given me a chance to take a photo for them or, capture a hunt. Like it's an honor. And for me to be able to call this a job and do this every day, I'm extremely blessed. So if anyone I know that's watching has given me an opportunity or helped me out in some sort of way, I want to say thank you for that. So
That's awesome. Damon, where do people find you?
uh, Instagram, just Damon, Damon Wolfe, WOLFE _ that's my personal page. That's where you'll find probably the most updated stuff. Uh, I post everything on there, whether it's a picture of, a project I'm doing or my girlfriend that I love so dearly, or just film pictures I took on a disposable camera, anything, man. Stories, I post stories on there to kind of update stuff. And that's Damon Wolfe for that. And then ALL41 CREATIVE is my business page. And I have it linked in my bio for that. So that's my business page. That's not updated as much because we work on a bunch of projects, but then I have to wait for, people to release the footage or post it
Yeah.
for me to be able to post, the full project we did. So it's not as updated on that page, but there's definitely some projects that you can go check out on there.
Awesome, dude.
ALL41. Yeah, man.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Well, we can stay on and chat for a sec, but we'll wrap it up. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you all.